Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I am down here in the basement bait shop. Just finished up rigging up a bunch of rods for the St. Lawrence Bass Pro Tour event. It's the final stop of the season. As you can see behind me, this room is a mess and I've got a pile of rods, all different stuff rigged. This is one of those events where you can fish so many different styles. Anytime you're talking about current and clear water, largemouth and smallmouth bass, you can pretty much fish anything. Whether you want to power fish or finesse fish, fish deep, fish shallow, fish moving baits, finesse baits, you can do whatever you want at the St. Lawrence River. I mean, is very much a versatile fishery. Uh, I'm really anxious to get there, guys. It's always nice to go to a fishery where you have the potential to catch a giant fish, have the potential to catch numbers of fish. I've got a good history there. I've only been there one time, and that was back in, I think, 2021 for the Major League Fishing, what at the time was the pro circuit, which is now the invitationals, and I finished second in that event. Had the fish on every day of that event to win the tournament, just could not put them in the boat. Needless to say, I felt really good about that tournament. The negative is I was not catching that many fish, and that format was total weight for 5 fish. Now, the Bass Pro Tour events are total weight for all fish over 2 pounds. So it kind of changes the game around a little bit. So I've got what I fished last time to go off of, but I don't know how much that's even going to come into play. This is one where I do think you got to go there with a very much an open mind. You got to go there with the idea that you could find fish almost anywhere. And just because I've got that one part of the lake that I fished, I'll definitely fish it in practice, but I'm not going to try to force that. I really want the fish to tell me what I should be doing in this case. This is one where this tournament means a lot to me right now. I am the last man in for requalification for next year. Has not been a great year for myself. I've cashed in half the events. I've only really had one really bad tournament. I've been right in the middle of the pack in every other tournament, but because the Bass Pro Tour is cutting 20 anglers, which is a quarter of the field, and the way they're selecting based on previous year AOI averages and not allowing the rookies to have an AOI average to fall back on, I am right borderline in terms of requalifying. So I'm in right now, but I need to catch them at the St. Lawrence River to requalify. So it means a lot. This tournament is a big one. It's one of the biggest ones in my career, and that's exciting. It's a little bit nerve wracking, but overall, we're gonna go fish our style, do what we need to do, and hopefully have a good tournament. So, having said that, there's some things to keep in mind with this event. Uh, we are going out of Messina, which is way up the river, about 90 miles from the lake, but they've already told us that we are going to be able to trailer for the event, meaning they'll launch us from the parking lot at Messina, but then we get a bunch of time to drive to the lower end and fish, which means we're going to maximize our fishing time. In a normal tournament where if you launched out of Messina, there's like potentially, you're probably in good conditions giving up 3 hours of fishing time. When you consider you might be running 80 to 90 miles one way, you're going to need to get gas. Like you're probably giving up 3+ hours of fishing time. So in this case, if we can drive, and when I say drive, we're driving there before fishing starts, you're going to get almost a full 7.5 hours wherever you fish. So from that standpoint, you don't have to take into account that travel, which is a little bit different for a St. Lawrence River event. And it opens up a ton of different things. Being total weight format, you could find a pile of 2 pound smallmouth and probably catch one after another and win this event. I think you have much greater chances of finding schools of 2 to 3 pound smallmouth than you do probably anything else. Like when I took second place there, I was catching a lot of 4 to 6 pound fish, but I was not catching a lot of 2 pounders mixed in. I was generally catching good quality fish. So, uh, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I'll be really curious to see how this plays out. There are largemouth in there. I think largemouth could play a factor. I don't think they're gonna win, but I do think you could see people catching mixed bags. Right now, from my perspective, I kind of feel like a mixed bag is not a terrible way to go for my position. Meaning, I think I need to requalify. I need to finish probably 15th or better in my grouping. So, we split into two groups of 40. I need to be in the top 15. If I can make the top 10 cut in my group, I think I'll requalify for sure. And I just feel like, it's for me, it may be something where maybe I find a little place with, where I can catch 4 or 5 largemouth quick, but you burn it down. It's done at that point. So I don't know. I really don't know. I've never spent a whole lot of time largemouth fishing there. There's not a lot of information on it. They sure as heck will not win a 5 fish derby. And I just don't know how good the overall population is. Whereas we know the smallmouth, it's potentially the best smallmouth fishery in the world. So it's hard not to want to fish for smallmouth. And having said that, when I look at my rods, I have got the typical smallmouth baits tied on. I've got a couple of different drop shots tied up. I've got one with what do I got? I got Berkeley flatworm rigged up. I've got a 4-inch Berkeley Maxcent the General rigged up. I've got a little 2-inch Maxcent tube on a drop shot. And then I've got 3.3 Kitech Swing Impact. I've got a Berkeley spy bait on. I've got a 1/2 ounce tungsten football jig by Beast Coast. That's one that you guys kind of put me onto. And I know it's been really popular on the St. Lawrence River where you rig it with a Ned rig on the back. So I've got that tied up. I've got a Ned rig tied up. Yeah, lots typical. I've got 2 hover rigs tied up. And then I look over and I've got some more of what I would call more power fishing baits, which could go largemouth or smallmouth. I've got a handful of different topwater baits rigged up to kind of work over some shallower grass flats, maybe some shallow rock bars where you could catch either. I've got a jig tied up. I've got 1 chatterbait tied up. I've got a swim jig tied up, and I've got a frog tied up. So, it's going to be one of those things where I want to have that stuff ready to roll when you find a cast or two to make with it. But ultimately, I think we're going to be concentrating on some of the shallower main river bars. It's what I really like to do is concentrate in that stuff where a lot of times I can visually see what I'm doing, what I'm fishing. Even if you can't see the fish or see if you're not getting fish to bite, a lot of times you can see if the fish are up there. It's very, very common in clear water situations to see, go up on flats, not get bit because the fish aren't in a great mood, but visually see a pile of fish swimming around. And when you come back and hit that at the right time, it's like you can get bit on every other cast. So my goal is to find as many places as I can with scoreable bass, and then basically just make milk runs in the tournament. Whatever part of the river I'm in, that I really don't care where I'm at in terms of the river. Down by the lake is fine. Way up by Messina is fine. Right in the middle by Ogdensburg or someplace like that is fine too. It's going to just come down to where can I find the fish to put me into next year's Bass Pro Tour qualification. So I'm going to get these rigs put in the boat. Next thing I need to do, though, is organize the boat. If you've seen some of my recent videos, it is a disaster, and I need to get it fully organized. And that way, when I'm there, I'm ready to roll. I concentrate just on fishing, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's hard not to get excited to go fish a place like the St. Lawrence River. Just a beautiful place. Weather is generally going to be nice. Even if it's hot during the day, the nights are generally cool. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Wish me luck, guys. This is the last regular event for the year. We need to end on a high note. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. We'll have a new one coming out tomorrow.